Good morning. So today I am going to be doing a what I eat in a day video. As I mentioned in my video last week, a couple weeks ago, whenever my last video, I am currently going through a weight loss journey. I'm trying to lose weight, and I am currently doing the Weight Watchers program. I am also gluten-free as well. So I thought that maybe I would kind of start posting some different recipe ideas and things, just because I feel like, there is a decent amount of like gluten-free Weight Watcher recipes and things like that, but I've been trying to like adapt some, traditional Weight Watcher recipes into gluten-free recipes and things. So I just kind of wanted to share that with you guys. So we're gonna start by doing a what I eat in a day. And we are going to start with breakfast, which is my favorite meal of the day. So for breakfast today, I'm going to be doing a tofu scramble. I would do this with eggs, but eggs hurt my stomach, so I don't really eat them just like plain. If they're in things, they don't really bother me, but when I just eat eggs, that kind of hurts my tummy. So I started doing a tofu scramble, and it's not eggs, but like it's pretty close. So let me kind of show you what we have going on here. All right, so for our tofu scramble, we're gonna need tofu. So this is 1/4 of a block of tofu, and I use the extra firm tofu from Sprouts, and I already pressed it and I weighed it. It's 108 grams of pressed tofu. And then I have a smoked pepper packed in water, 0 points. I have 3 mushrooms cut up, 0 points. And then I have some onion slices, 0 points. And then we're gonna also add in some spinach, and we're gonna top it with feta crumbles. These are the fat-free feta crumbles. And these are like really low on points. I usually only do like 10 grams on top, and that's 0 points. And I'm also gonna do a few links of turkey sausage on this side. All right, so to start out, I'm gonna start out by just heating up my turkey sausage. So this is the Jimmy Dean's fully cooked turkey sausage. I really didn't think that I was going to like this, because I just feel like fully cooked sausages have never really been like something that I'm into. But they're actually pretty good, and they're inexpensive. Pretty inexpensive and low in points. So I'm just gonna take 3 of those. Those are 3 points, and I wrap them in a paper towel, and then I usually just throw them in the microwave for 30 seconds, just kind of heat them through, and then I'm gonna get my pan hot and I'm gonna crisp them as well, so they have a little bit of a crispy texture. I'm gonna get my pan pretty hot here. I'm gonna throw this away. Hot. All right, the sausages are warm, and so like I said, I'm just going to get them a little crispy on both sides, just because I think that they taste better that way. And while those are doing that, I'm gonna grab all my spices and things that I'm gonna use for my tofu scramble. All right, so I do have a nice little crisp on one side of the sausage. So I'm actually going to shut this pan off while I'm letting the other side crisp, because I am going to cook my onions in this pan, and I don't want them to come into this pan while it's like this hot, because I'm just going to burn my onions. I'm not actually going to saute them if I do that. So we're just going to continue letting this cook, but like I said, I just turned the heat off. Okay, moving on. Our sausage has a nice crisp on it, so I took it out of the pan, and I'm gonna start this pan up again, and I'm gonna put it on like a low, medium low on the low end. These burners are like power burners, so I think they burn a little bit hotter than just like a couple of the other ones. I don't know, but I like this one for some reason. But anyway, I'm gonna take a little bit of canola oil non-stick cooking spray and just give that a couple shots in the pan. That is 0 points, and I prefer to use the canola oil spray over like an olive oil spray because canola oil has a higher smoking point, so it can get a lot hotter before it's gonna burn and taste bad. And also canola oil has like a neutral flavor palette to it, so it's not really gonna flavor your food at all, whereas like olive oil definitely has a distinct taste to it, and I don't always want that. I mean, sometimes I do, but not always. Just throwing the onions in here, and we are just going to let those cook for a few minutes and get soft before we start throwing everything else in. While that is going on, let me talk to you about like the seasonings that we are going to put in our tofu scramble fake egg situation. So obviously we're doing salt and pepper, and then we're gonna do a little bit of garlic and onion powder because that makes everything taste better. And then one kind of weird ingredient that we're going to put in this is black salt. I don't know if this will focus. It might be focusing. Anyway, it's called black salt. It's pink. And this stuff smells like farts. It smells like hard-boiled eggs. Like, you know that sulfuric kind of smell? It smells and tastes like a hard-boiled egg. So we're gonna put a little bit of that onto the tofu once we get that into the pan. And it really does give it that kind of eggy flavor. And then mixed with that texture of the tofu, which is kind of like scrambled eggy textured, it really does kind of make it taste like a scrambled egg. And I'm also going to put a little bit of turmeric in this. That's not going to add a ton of flavor. It's just going to give my fake eggs a yellow color and make them look more like eggs. And then lastly, I'm going to put a little bit of nutritional yeast in this. This stuff is awesome. Like, the vegans have been hiding this from us because this is amazing. It tastes like really savory, cheesy kind of flavor. I don't even really know how to describe it, but like, yeah, kind of cheesy, savory flavor. It's delicious. So I'm going to put a little bit of that in there. And I am going to be topping this with feta cheese today, but if I'm not using feta when I make these, when I make this tofu scramble, I will sometimes just like top my tofu scramble with more nutritional yeast just to kind of give it like an extra cheesy flavor. Like, it is kind of just like salty, like it's not quite as nutty as like a Parmesan is, but it just has like that kind of tang to it. I don't really know how to describe it, but would definitely recommend. It's really good in stuff like this. I put it on potatoes. I put it on pretty much everything. It's really good on popcorn. Really good. Now that our onions have cooked down a little bit, I'm going to throw in our mushrooms. And we're gonna get these cooking down a little bit before we throw everything else in. All right, I'm just adding in my roasted red pepper. Give that a little stir, and then I'm going to top that with my spinach. Spinach is up to your discretion. I just do handfuls of it. It wilts down. And it's good for you, so I try to get as much in as I can, you know. Alright, so our veggies are all kind of sauteed up. I turned my burner down even lower, And now I'm gonna put the tofu in. This is the best part because you're gonna take that block of tofu and squeeze it like it owes you money. Just make it look, you know, scrambled eggy. So now that we have that in there, we're gonna start adding our seasonings. And I'm gonna start with that black salt. Really don't need a lot of that. A little bit of turmeric. Like I said, that's just for color. Onion powder. Garlic powder. Nooch. Salt. And some pepper. I feel like salt and pepper is what makes eggs good. Lost a little piece of tofu. Okay, now I'm just gonna stir that. And basically all we wanna do at this point now is, like, everything's cooked. So all we wanna do is kind of heat the eggs through, or I keep calling it eggs, heat the tofu through. And just give it like a little bit of a, you know, just a little crisp. Just gonna turn that up a little bit just so we can get a little bit of a crisp going. All right, tofu scramble is coming off the heat onto our plate. This is like so much food too. This is honestly such a filling breakfast. Okay, and then I'm gonna take this over to the scale and I'm gonna weigh out my cheese. All right, so there is our breakfast. So like I said, 3 points for the sausage, and then it's gonna be 3 points for the tofu, but then other than that, everything else on this plate is 0 points. So this is a 6-point breakfast. And I should probably mention as well, I am doing the green plan of Weight Watchers and I get 30 points a day. So this is only a 6-point breakfast. It's a really good way to start the day. Lots of vegetables, a little bit of protein here as well. And it's gonna keep me really full for a long time. I also usually have a side of fruit with this. So today I'm gonna have some grapes, but yeah, any kind of fruit. Sometimes I'll have a cup of unsweetened applesauce or something, just because I like a little bit of sweetness, but again, 0 points. So I'm going to eat this and I will see you guys at lunchtime. All right, so it is 11:30 and I am going to start making dinner. So for dinner, I am going to make pulled pork. I saw a like pork sandwich recipe in the Weight Watchers, like best of Weight Watchers cookbook or whatever. And I was like, that's like a good idea. That sounds good. I like me a good pulled pork sandwich, especially like in the summertime. Like I just feel like that's a good summery food. But I didn't really like the way their recipe was. So I'm going to kind of do it how I want to do it. So I'm going to do this in the crock pot today. And I was originally going to do it in the pressure cooker, but I mean, I have time to use the crock pot, so I'm just gonna throw it in the crock pot because I feel like I don't use my crock pot enough. So I just cut up half an onion and then I got some pork tenderloin. Now this is not what you would typically make a pulled pork sandwich out of, but this is what I'm using because it is a little bit leaner than like a pork shoulder or pork butt that you would normally use to make pulled pork. So let me cut this open. All right, so I threw my pork in and I'm going to season it now. I washed my hands after touching it and we're gonna do a good healthy amount of salt in this. we're going to do a nice amount of black pepper on this. We're gonna do a little bit of chili powder. I love chili powder. And we're gonna do some paprika. And I'm just trying to get like all the seasoning mostly on the meat. And I'm gonna pour a little bit of broth in here in a second, and I'm gonna try to avoid pouring that on the actual. I wonder if I can move this so you can like see this better. You can kind of see in there a little bit better now. Okay, so let's do some garlic powder, onion powder, and I'm gonna do a little bit of this 21 blend that you can get from Costco. It's a 21 seasoning blend without salt in it. And it just kind of tastes like a little vegetable almost. Like you can tell that there's like some dried veggies in there. It's pretty good. I like it on meat. So let's put some garlic in here, because garlic is like required for every dish. I'm gonna put like a good chunk of garlic in there. Yes, I just use like the minced jar garlic because I'm a monster. And okay, so then I'm gonna just throw a cup of chicken broth in here. So like I said, this is adapted from a Weight Watchers recipe, and then I also got some information about cooking a crock pot pulled pork tenderloin from a different website. So I will be sure to link that for you as well. And I'm just gonna pour this in here, but I'm gonna kind of pour it along the side here. So that way all that rub stays on my meat. I'm not gonna stir that or touch it or anything. I'm just going to put this on high. I'm gonna put my lid on it, and I'm going to let this sit for, well, it's almost noon now. We probably won't eat dinner until like 5:30, 6 o'clock. So I'm just gonna kind of let it run until then. I'm gonna add my barbecue sauce in at the end. And I'm also going to make a coleslaw to top this with as well. So I will be back when I make that coleslaw, and I will be back for lunch as well. Okay, so it is lunchtime. Let me try to set this down. So for lunch, I just decided to keep it pretty simple. I usually do just like eat kind of like little like snacky food for lunch. So let me show you what I'm eating. So I have a cut up tomato right here. I am like obsessed with tomatoes. I love them. And then I have 3.5 ounces of no salt added turkey. And then that is a Laughing Cow spreadable cheese wedge. That's the light one. And then I have some Good Thins. So there's only like 10 here because that's all that I had left in the box. But normally I would usually eat like 20 of those because they're really low in points. And then some carrots, and then I'm drinking my water. And I think I'm going to have a unsweetened applesauce as well. So that is my super simple 3-point lunch. Dinner is still in the crock pot over there. So I'm gonna eat my lunch, and then after that I'm gonna make some coleslaw, and so I'll have that all ready for dinner. All right, we are back, and we are going to be making coleslaw. I just had lunch. I just made another cup of coffee, and our pork smells so good. I'm so excited to have this. So I'm gonna make a coleslaw to go on top of the pulled pork sandwiches. And this is the recipe that I was talking about earlier that kind of like inspired this. So this is from the Best of Weight Watchers cookbook, and they have like these little, you know, pork sandwiches, but it's like sliced pork, and I'm like, I want pulled pork. And also, I'm so sorry about this lighting. I know it's tragic. But anyway, I am gonna make the coleslaw that goes along with this, kind of. I'm gonna work with what I have here though. So for the coleslaw, they use 3 tablespoons of reduced fat mayo, a teaspoon of ACV, 1/8 of a teaspoon of black pepper, 2 cups of shredded purple cabbage, 3 tablespoons of sliced scallion. And basically they just tell you to mix all of that in a bowl. I don't have just purple cabbage, but I have this bag of coleslaw mix, so that seems like it's gonna work out pretty good. I'm gonna go grab some salt and pepper really quickly. And yeah, we're gonna, basically all I'm gonna do is mix this together, but come along with me. Let's start with the like sauce of the coleslaw, and we will go from there. So it says 3 tablespoons of non-fat mayo, so that is 15 grams for 1 tablespoon. So I'm gonna do 45 grams of some good old-fashioned Best Foods light mayonnaise. That's probably the grossest thing that you've watched all day. Okay, and then let's see, it calls for 1/2 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar. So I like to use the Bragg's apple cider vinegar. This is the one that's supposed to be good for you because it has the mother in it. If you are someone who is into probiotics. That was a little, okay. So I have a little bit more than a teaspoon in there. That was a 1/2 teaspoon measuring. And then I believe the instructions also call for, yes, a tablespoon of water. Okay, so that's what we have there. And now with clean hands, I'm gonna add a little bit of salt in here. It doesn't call for salt, but like, who are we not salting our food? Like, stop, Weight Watchers. And then a few turns of black pepper. And then we will whisk this together. Slice our scallion, and it says to do 3 tablespoons of scallion. So we're just gonna kind of eyeball it. Pretty oniony. And you know, I just realized, is this a scallion or a shallot? Hey Siri, what's a scallion?
Scallions are vegetables derived from various species in the genus Allium. scallions have a milder taste than most onions. Want to hear?
This is a shallot. Fuck. Okay, well I do have some scallions right behind me, but I already cut up the shallot. What have I done? What have I done? So let's just say fuck it, put it in. Whatever. All right, it's all going in. Okay, so we have our shallot in a bowl. And I'm just going to add in the whole bag. Of coleslaw mix, because what am I gonna do with it if I don't, you know? Try to really kind of break up that shallot in there because, you know, it's not supposed to be in there. I mean, I feel like a raw oniony flavor on a pulled pork sandwich will be good still though. That's really good. And it's not like overdressed at all either. This is our coleslaw that is going to top our pulled pork sandwiches. Yum! So I'm just gonna put the coleslaw in the refrigerator right now. Our pulled pork should be done in like another hour, hour and a half. It might be done right now, but I'm just gonna let it keep cooking. And I think for a side, I'll see what Lucas wants to do. I was thinking of just doing like a frozen vegetable on the side, or I did get some. I got some of these little potato company potatoes. These are just the ones that you microwave. They have a bunch of different versions of like different flavors of this, and then different versions of their potatoes. You can buy just the potatoes, you can buy ones that you put in the oven. Like they have a ton of different stuff and they're all very good. This one's just super convenient though, because you just pop it in the microwave for 5 minutes and then you have these delightful little potatoes that are just like little pillows of joy. And these are just lovely, and you can eat 1/4 of this container for I think like 4 points or something. It might even be less than that. Like it's not a lot, and you really feel like you're getting like a lot of potato with it too. So I think I might make these, but I'm gonna plug everything into the recipe app while I'm waiting for everything to finish cooking and while I'm just hanging out. And so I'll kind of see what I have room for in the daily budget, but I'm sure I have room for these potatoes. So this is going in, and I will see you guys when it's time to pull our pork. Okay, so I started recording without like recording. I didn't hit the record button, but so we have our pork here. I took it out of the crock pot a few minutes ago. I let it just kind of sit on this plate and rest for a little bit. And so now I'm just shredding it, and like look at how yummy and just like, oh my god, this is gonna be so good. So I'm just shredding this, and I did put this into the recipe maker onto the Weight Watchers app. So I did all of the pork, and I added the barbecue sauce in there, and I also just put the coleslaw into the same recipe since we're gonna be eating it together. So this pork was a 1 pound pork tenderloin, and then I did a cup of sauce, but I don't know if we're gonna do a cup of sauce, so I just measured out like a 1/2 cup right now to start with. But I did account for that. And then with the coleslaw, so I made that out to be 4 servings. I figured that would probably be about 4 servings, right? So that is only 4 points on the green plan for 1 serving of a pulled pork sandwich with coleslaw. Now, I keep saying sandwich. I'm not going to be eating mine on bread, as I said. I don't know. I just really don't eat a lot of sandwiches on bread anymore. But, I mean, even if you did want to have like this on a bun or on a half of a bun, that really wouldn't add too many points to this. All right, that is a big plate of pork. Yummy. And also, in the interim, we have added a ring light into our setup here. So our lighting situation is improving. I just had to try a little bite of that. So we have all of our saucy sauce in here. So that's just the broth and the onions and some garlic. So I'm just going to take this pork and dump it back into all that goodness. Okay, so we're just gonna kind of stir this all up in here. So we have all of the juices all mixed in here, and then I'm gonna add my barbecue sauce into this now. So this is the G. Hughes, This is the G. Hughes sugar-free barbecue sauce. This stuff is super low in points. It's 0 points per serving. And then I think a cup of this on like the Weight Watchers app was only like 4 points or something, probably not even. So right here I have a half of a cup, and I'm just gonna add that in right now. And then if we feel like we need more, we'll add more. I don't know why I chose like the world's smallest spatula to do this. So I think I'm gonna add like a quarter more cup to this.
Ryan Little.
Yoga.
So this is the pulled pork, and then I put the coleslaw on top. And then I just did some instant mashed potatoes and a bag of frozen veggies. So for the coleslaw and pulled pork, that's only 4 points. And then the instant mashed potatoes are kind of high in points. So for that quarter cup, it's 4 points. And the veggies are obviously 0. So in total, that is 8 points for dinner. And this is like a hefty plate of food. So I'm excited to eat that. And then maybe we can get a taste test from Lucas of his sandwich.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, that was the plan. If I remember correctly, this happened to you a couple of years ago as well. Maybe it was the Napa fires of 2017 that you were also in a situation. You had the car cracked and you were ready to go.
What was it?
Juicy.
Juicy? Like good juicy?
Mm-hmm.
Is it
Juicy and crunchy.
Is it barbecue-y enough?
It is.
Okay, the last smoke
Does it
around
taste
here.
like diet?
I know you know what you're doing.
Not really, no. I mean, I'm gonna have about 4 of them, so it's not really diet food.
You're just struggling to grasp.
Good to know. All right, you guys, so it is the end of the day. We just ate dinner a little while ago and kind of hung out, and we're getting ready to go to bed. So I still had to get into my healthy eating zone. So like I said, I get 30 points a day, and your healthy eating zone is 10 points be like 10 points below or 5 points above your daily point value. So sometimes at the end of the day like this, I will like have something sweet. I'll have like a piece of chocolate, or I really like the Smart Sweet candies, or like some type of treat like that is good. But since I am like still so low on points, I'm actually going to have a couple tablespoons of peanut butter. So peanut butter is pretty high in points, I think, just because it is like so fatty. But I like to, when I like need to fill in those points, I like to have something like peanut butter because I feel like it's really filling. Not that I'm like really hungry right now, but it is filling, and I think that it has good protein. How much protein does it have? Okay, it has 7 grams of protein, so that's not like a ton, but it has protein, and it also has healthy fats in it though. So I feel like I'm really not eating a lot of fats throughout the day. So if I have extra room for it to get a few like extra healthy fats into my diet, I think it is good. So I'm gonna have 2 tablespoons of that, and like I said, that is 6 points. So that brings me to a total of 23 used points today. So we did 6 points for breakfast, our lunch was only 3 points, and then dinner with the addition of the peanut butter is 14 points. We ended the day at 23 points. That is good. I have been trying to get a little bit higher on the point scale. Like I'm really trying to eat my 30 points a day because I do work out like 5 times a week, and I'm moving around a lot and stuff, so my fit points are always like really high. So because of that, I really do try to get to the 30 points, but today we stayed a little bit under, but I'm never mad about staying under. All right, you guys, so that was what I eat in a day. If you want to see more videos like this, if you liked this video, make sure that you give it a thumbs up. And if you have any suggestions or anything like that, make sure to leave a comment down below. Any recipes or anything that I mentioned are going to be in the description box. Yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye!